All right. Thank you, Doctor. So let's get right into this. Greg, obviously, well, I know you as the founder of Soul Machines, and I think Soul Machines and the work it does is going to really dictate a lot of this conversation today. So I'd like you to just kind of top line, what is Soul Machines? What is it doing? What is it trying to do? Give us the laydown of it.
Sure. Hi, Bernie, and hi, everybody. So great to be coming to you from a little bit from the future. It's Sunday afternoon here in New Zealand, so I'm really grateful for Nicole and Bernie for having me along today. So a little bit of background on Soul Machine. So we're a company that is looking at what we call this future of human and machine cooperation. So we define ourselves in many respects as an AGI research company, a company that's looking at how we bring more human intelligence into the world of artificial intelligence. And for us, human intelligence goes into areas like human behavior. It goes into really interesting areas, which I'm sure Bernie and I will explore a little bit later on, about if we're going to create all these amazing machines and these and AI technologies that are going to be a bigger and bigger part of our future, how are we going to build that relationship? How are we going to build trust with these machines? And for us, a large part of that comes down to giving these machines the ability to have human behavior, to be able to express human emotion in the way that we do. So it's a whole field of what we call embodied cognition, experiential learning, and really looking at what we think about as autonomous animation. So if you look at animation in Hollywood today or in the gaming industry, it's very, very much driven by actors, by human beings, pre-recorded content, data that is used to animate and bring CGI characters to life. So a big part of what we do is we autonomously animate CGI characters in the same way that Bernie and I are being autonomously animated here by our own brains. So the core of our technology is a simplified working model of a human brain. We call it our digital brain, and that enables our digital people to interact, respond, democratize the delivery of personalized information in real time. So Bernie, I hope that's a quick introduction, sort of super high level, but hopefully it gives people some idea as to who we are and what we do.
Totally. And so my interest, so just so everybody knows, I am a storyteller. I'm a writer director. My show called Artificial, right here, is about artificial intelligence, does use artificial intelligence in its storytelling a little bit, but it is really a science fiction show. So I am not by any means a up-to-date completely about where the current state of AI is. I'm very much in it. I want to know what's coming up the down the pike here. And what's fascinating to me about what Greg and Soul Machines is doing is, as he said, the digital created person. Okay, so now in content, in kind of virtual content and animation, and like as Greg said, there's this massive wave of virtual characters. We've seen it. You can do it yourself in Adobe like Character Creator right now, animate a version of me, and I can voice it and push the buttons and have it like wave its hand and so forth. So I can control it, but it still requires me, a person behind it. It still requires someone in a mocap suit. It still requires someone pushing the buttons. The work that Greg and his team are doing at Soul Machines doesn't require the person. It is autonomous. You can go to it right now. The one I like to point to is your SK2 experience with the Yumi character. You can go to the SK2 website right now. In the bottom left, I believe it's customer service, and the customer service character is a digital person, right? And has that experience. So, but today we're looking at it as a storyteller, as an innovator. I'm looking at it at the point of, okay, we work with, when we tell a story, we have characters, we have actors, we have writers, and so forth. And can a performer be a digital person? Doesn't mean, sure, they could all be digital persons. Or can a real life human actor like myself work with a digital person? So that's kind of the way we're looking at it. And I'd love to hear from your side, Greg, that like obviously when I mentioned the SK2 example, and if you look up Soul Machines, there's an obvious branded space. There's an obvious brand relationship, which you are doing. Talking to these big companies, Fortune 500 companies, and being a provider of the customer service side, and that area, which we'll talk about in a second. But then there's also an entertainment side to this whole thing too. I believe you very, very famously have a digital version of the recording artist will.i.am, right? Yeah. So let's talk about the will.i.am example of this. Like, how did that start, and what did that achieve in the kind of narrative of this all?
Yeah. I mean, what we're doing with all of our digital people in terms, and even in the case of Yumi for SK2, I mean, it is a form of storytelling. I mean, it is telling the story of their brand and their products and the way in which they can help people, in the world today. So the whole will.i.am experience that we built last year in 2019, before the world went all COVID on us, was really an opportunity to explore the way in which our heroes, our celebrities, could use a digital version of themselves, and with what we call will.i.am or digital will, we call digital will a digital twin of the real will.i.am. So we have captured, using our CGI production line, we have captured digital Will's likeness in full 3D, his face, his body, the way in which he expresses emotion. So we've captured all of that. We have built a digital personality, and we've used text-to-speech technology to create a digital voice for Will. So this was all an exercise about how can we show people the impact of this technology in an incredibly interesting way. If we took somebody who is very, very larger than life, a hero in many respects, and we could use different aspects of and different parts of Will's person. Obviously he's an amazing musician and performer. He's a technologist and an entrepreneur. He's a philanthropist in terms of some of the work. So how can we help him and all of those different aspects of who he is be able to connect and tell stories with his fans? I mean, Will's foundation does a lot of work with young kids in LA, in the neighborhoods that he grew up in, telling stories and talking and inspiring them, to show them there is a different way to contribute and make a difference in the world. So these are all different aspects of it. So the work we did last year was captured in a documentary series called The Age of AI, and it really showed and hopefully gave a lot of people some appreciation for how our technology works and how incredibly lifelike, even though this is really, really early days for the AI era we're in, how incredibly lifelike these digital people can be, and what sorts of different things they can do. So obviously, in the COVID world we now live in, Bernie, entertainers, every aspect of the entertainment industry has changed. I mean, you're producing your show, remotely, and musicians that can't perform in front of audiences anymore. Most professional sports franchises are playing in empty stadiums in most parts of the world. So this, these whole fan brand connections, is the sort of work we do, the sort of use case and the exemplar we created with Digital will.i.am, present a whole range of new opportunities to think about the future of entertainment and indeed, the future of storytelling, which was what we're here to talk about.
Definitely. Those of you wondering if The Age of AI is on YouTube, it is a YouTube original, and I believe will.i.am kind of, I guess we'll call it the project or the initiative, was featured in the first episode, I believe, of the season. So it's a very easy thing to find if you want to check it out for yourself on YouTube. Yeah. So anyway, just a little plug there. I mean, I saw it. I thought it was really fascinating myself. And then I remember, because I already had met you and we've gotten familiar with your work and heard about it. And then I was watching the show and it's like, oh, it's the first episode. Here it is. So that was really, really cool to see the process and all that. So So I guess, I'll kind of lay this out from, again, those of us who are traditional storytellers. Okay, I don't know how many of you are here listening to this, and those of you who are, I really applaud you for kind of trying to be in the forefront of this, as like someone like myself here. So what I look at, I'll give you an example of this. So in Artificial, the show I just did, the AI component, the actual AI component, not the story part, the actual AI component was from this company called LifeScore, which does adaptive music technology, which allowed the audience to change the music in real time using chat. Okay, so I'm totally making this simple. Twitch chat goes, all this chat comes in, logistic regression, algorithm, whatever, pulls in a mood, audience, the music score shifts in real time on the fly to the mood of the audience. So the audience is being consequential to the experience, and the music is shifting to it. So what I look at in storytelling as we go is that, look, I believe, innovation, technology, especially AI, has innovated every facet of our lives and everything. And I believe one of the places where it still hasn't is in entertainment. Yes, there are pieces of it. I agree, like in CGI. Okay, tons of AI happening there, no problem. But in the creation of content entertainment, that's where I feel that there is a complete disconnect from kind of old Hollywood and old media ways of storytelling, and what people can do with tech like a Soul Machines, with tech like a LifeScore, these type of things, and how the industry can shift like that. So kind of bring it back to specifically Soul Machines and this technology, creating digital people. Okay, so from a kind of entertainment aspect, let's talk about from the experience aspect of this. So if you go on, say, SK2, or you talk to Digital Whale IM and SK2 and go and look at Yumi, which is Digital Whale IM, that is a singular one-to-one experience. Greg, is that accurate, I would say?
Yeah. I mean, it's a one-on-one personal experience. It's, you and me, there's lots of people watching us today, but we're having a one-to-one, video conference from the other side of the world.
Yes.
Via our laptop screens or our computer screens. It could be on our smartphones. So when you go to talk to Yumi, and you want to ask about SK2 products or SK2 skincare, that's a one-on-one personal conversation. And one of the really cool things about it is it's infinitely scalable because it's a cloud-based technology. So Yumi can have 100 conversations at once, or she can have 100,000 conversations at once. And they are unique conversations because they are face-to-face, multi-channel personal connections in a way that any face-to-face human interaction is. So, this is a really, really important part of what we think is critical to the way in which AI will impact storytelling, the way in which it will impact entertainment, and in reality, just about every single industry that you care to think about. It is going to become a part of our day-to-day lives.
I completely 100% agree with this. An experience like the SK2 experience is perfect for this kind of one-to-one curated, very specific, because of course we all have different skin. Like we all have different skin tones and needs for this. So it almost doesn't make sense for that to be a shared experience where I'm asking Yumi for my own skincare, and 10,000 people are watching, or how many people are watching this conversation can be. Where maybe they can learn something directly from that, but it's much more efficient, I would say, for them to just go themselves and have that experience, and tell their own personal story, their own kind of skincare story in this example. Correct?
Another really important part of this is. Another really important part of this is what we're finding is there are many applications and use cases where real people prefer to speak to digital people. So we actually have hard data from the SK2 work that we've been doing over the last 12 months, where particularly young women in their 20s would rather talk to a digital person than a real person, because skincare is highly personal, and often we can feel judged by other people. Digital people don't have the concept of judgment, so we're seeing lots of incredibly important data in really, really important areas. Skincare. You can say, well, how important is that? But we're also seeing it from the work that we're doing in areas like really important areas like healthcare and education. People feel, that much, they feel less judged. They feel that much more willing. We do a lot of work with big banks, and what those big banking customers are finding is, people don't like to talk to real people about their money problems. We're embarrassed about. If we got financial problems, we're generally embarrassed about it. We fear being judged about it. So, digital people create a whole new way to think about how we can help people and improve the way they live. So.
And so with that, I know we're talking about other industries it's storytelling, absolutely. Yeah. I will frame this back to entertainment directly. All right, so imagine this. Okay, so you're watching Harry Potter, digital version of Harry Potter, boom, comes in. You as a Harry Potter fan can talk to Harry Potter himself. Hey, why did you make this decision? What can you do? And have their own curated experience of that to talk to Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, whatever character you want to put up there, right? That is definitely possible given this technology, at least from what I've seen at the current state of soul machines. And what power does that give you? Like, as Greg said, look, sure, if I want to talk to Luke Skywalker, I don't really care if other people are watching me talk to Luke Skywalker, but not everybody is as, we'll say, social as I am, as extroverted as I am, who is totally down to talk, to have a public conversation with him. Some people, we want to have a more quieter, intimate, personal conversation with Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker or someone like that. And that can be done with this. And suddenly you have a super enhanced experience with this. Okay. Now, unrepeatable. Okay. Like that is an unrepeatable experience. It is yours as an individual. And the power of that to a super fan is infinite. They think of these people as like their friends, better than their friends. Sometimes you don't know. So that is something that I think is incredibly interesting. And going with that, I'd like to talk about the now you talked about the singular experience, which I've seen you guys do, but I'd love to talk about now the shared experience. Okay, so the concept of, I remember this, and I believe this video is public on Soul Machine somewhere, where you had two digital people kind of talk to each other, right?
Yeah.
So can you like frame that for me a little bit? I don't want to butcher that one.
Yeah. I mean, and just finishing off your last point, I mean, the Harry Potter experience. Here's the real cool thing: is Harry Potter might not speak Mandarin, for example, and but digital Harry Potter can speak Mandarin. He can speak Japanese. He could speak Korean. He could speak Norwegian. So, I mean, that's certainly another dimension of it. So. We did. So back to the point you were just talking about there, Bernie, in terms of digital people interacting with each other, and in the way we see, CGI characters becoming part of, science fiction movies and stories today, and we wanted to play around a little bit with, what's possible in the future. So we did a very, very short series called When Roman Met Sally. You can find it on our YouTube channel, and it's kind of, a little bit of fun in terms of what happens when two digital humans are talking to each other from laptops that are literally sitting opposite each other. So it's a crude demonstration, but it was something we really did to start getting people excited, start people thinking about what might be possible in the future. I mean. And we, the other, really important thing to think about here is, we're moving into a world where our digital brains can animate their whole body. So in the future, they could exist in digital worlds. They could walk around, cities, buildings, rooms with you, in the worlds of the future. So, it's still very, very early days, but it may mean in the future we could collaborate and have create the sort of non-linear storytelling, which the audience can interrupt and change the course of in a different way than we can imagine today.
Amazing. I believe Nicole wanted to hop in.
Yeah.
They're bringing her. Okay, there she is.
So I'm so excited. So Greg, everybody out there, I have been social stalking Greg for probably 4 years because of the importance of what Soul Machine is doing. And then also Bernie, like the experiential, the interactiveness of what he's doing, and to have these two people together is unbelievable. And so, one of the questions and one of the reasons why I was so excited about having the conversation with you too, is that it's like, I believe that the way that humans understand who they are and the way that they consider who they might be is through the stories that we tell individually about ourselves. So like what we've seen in behavior change for stress, anxiety, depression, addiction, a bunch of things, is that people don't change until the stories about themselves change. So storytelling is deeply individual into the human psyche. And then collectively, what is the story that people have about what we are doing together? So you had Kennedy saying, like, we're going to go to the moon. You have like these big narratives. And if you think about, a lot of Yuval Harari's work, which many of the people in our audience follow, is sort of like, what is the story that we're telling? That is, storytelling is actually the thing that differentiates humans from any other form of intelligence on the planet. And so the two of you, what you represent, especially, what you represent on the same stage, is you represent the intersection of AI, storytelling, and an interactivity to one another. And one of the other biggest things that's about to happen, and that's about to come, is that so my background is in video games, and I worked on World of Warcraft, and I ran World of Warcraft China. I operated it, and so it's like the digital realms, which is going to be fully populated also, as you were talking about a little bit before, Greg, with AIs. It's like, so that feedback loop. So what I'm deeply curious about is, how you see the ability for artificial intelligence to tell stories and to help humans learn how to storytell, how or positively storytell, how that like really lays into where are we going? Like, where are we going? And when I think of entertainment, it's like, when I hear the word entertainment, I actually hear the word storytelling. And when I hear the word storytelling, I hear human growth and development, how we understand who we are. And so I've been waiting to put the two of you together to ask you that question and what you have to say.
So the question is, where do we think entertainment is going?
Well, where do you think storytelling is going?
Got it.
Because storytelling is really just entertainment. Or entertainment is storytelling. So where do you think storytelling is going? Given AI, and and how do you think that will sort of like impact what humans think is possible for them?
Greg, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah. I think traditionally, we've told stories, using different technology platforms to deliver them. So. In recent times, it's, a lot of it is a broadcast, a broadcast, one-to-many type. And I think what the world of AI and some of the work that we and, many of the other incredible companies in our field are doing is what we're actually, experimenting is the way in which we can tell stories, important stories, on a one-to-one basis. Imagine a world in the future where we could build, and these are projects that we're thinking about now. We could bring an iconic figure back from, the last, really important discussions back in the 1960s and 70s about, racial inequality and the way in which the world needs to change. Imagine if we could bring one of those historical figures back to life, an MLK or a Malcolm X or a Muhammad Ali, people who told such amazing and incredibly insightful stories about the way we tell stories. Imagine bringing, those sorts of people back to life and having them retell stories and remind us and engage us with what they learned decades ago, which is, as we already know, is so incredibly relevant today. So, I mean, these are some of the things that we think about in terms of the future of storytelling. But it really will come down to the amazing and creative imagination of guys like Bernie, who can take the opportunity, the sort of tech that we're building and others are building, and really take it to the masses, because that's what clearly he does such an amazing job of.
And Bernie, I think it's like what you've done for interactive and experiential storytelling. Like, you are really miles ahead of everybody else, and I think that you're really on the cutting edge of what's possible. And so, I follow your work. I'm also a fangirl of yours, and I follow your work because it's like we need these personalized stories, for each of us. And so, so that's why I fangirl you, and I can't wait to hear your answer.
Well, I'll give you an answer with this. Thank you for the layup, Greg, on that one. But so my stance, and again, not a by any means, I'm not a coder, I'm not a engineer. Okay, I am a storyteller, and I will tell you the innovation, the next stage of storytelling, and this is very high level. This is my thesis. It is that the audience is consequential. You're making the audience consequential, whether it be a singular experience like Greg is doing with his digital people, or a grander experience like my work on artificial. Now, what I mean by audience is consequential, does that mean interactive? It does, but interactive does not mean consequential. Consequence is what we're yearning for. Those of you who are following political landscapes from across the world, there's a lot of movements, whether you're pro or for or against. People are fighting for what they believe in. They want to feel like that they matter. The US just had the highest vote total in the history of the US, percentage-wise and number-wise, by huge amounts, double-digit amounts, because they want to matter. Audiences want to matter. And right now, in traditional storytelling, they don't. You don't get to help Iron Man or Harry Potter or Luke Skywalker. You just get to watch them do their thing. And hey, you can cheer and be happy about it. But the next wave is building these opportunities where the audience is consequential, where they can affect the story, where they feel like whether they made a choice that helped their favorite person, or maybe it hurt their favorite person, or maybe they didn't realize it did. And that's how you can learn as not just a storyteller and a story consumer, which is fine, which is great. That's obviously what I do. But you can learn consequences as people, that your actions do matter. And just because you believe something and are fighting for something, it may not be the outcome you exactly want. So that's what you can teach society. But I firmly believe, and I've said this many, many times in all my talks, that the next wave of innovation storytelling, interactive storytelling, you would call it VR, AR, whatever, choose your method. The thesis is the audience is consequential to the story, to the experience, and that's where we're going.
Oh, wow. So Bernie, that is so hot. For everybody, if you didn't understand how hot that was so hot, because in all of our work, everything that we're doing for psychological health and happiness, what we're doing for mental and emotional well-being, social and emotional wellness, human purpose and performance, all of it says that the individual and the collective is consequential, right? Do you I'm getting chills. It's consequential. And so to the extent that the technology allows the individuals and the collectives to be consequential simultaneously, which we can only actually do with AI. AI is the only thing that can allow us to do that, for everyone at the same time.
At scale, for sure. Yes, at scale. Yeah.
That is the key for, it's where humanity is today and where we have the potential of going. It's it's very clear that we need a new path. And this is not just the last few years. It's been for a long time. And so everyone who's watching this talk, what you just understood and what you just saw, two people who are actively doing it and whose work is flowing together, is that the individual and the collective are consequential. And that is the future of all of our products. That is the future of all of our entertainment. That's the future of all of our storytelling. And the future of our storytelling is actually the future of humanity. Like that is what you just saw. So I'm really happy. Thank you. That was fabulous. Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Greg and Bernie. I so appreciate your time.
This was really fun.
Yeah, this has been huge fun. So yeah, I guess Bernie will have to see what we can do together.
We'll see. We will see. We'll hopefully keep you on the edge of their seats. But I'll just say that there is a lot of synergy of our points of views together, and we do have pieces that the other person doesn't have. I'm excited.